That was, we should have been able to use the water easement, but they didn't want us in there. That's the reason why we need all three utilities together. So one easement can do all.
Yeah, I think I get your position. You want unchecked authority.
No,
Make
not
these
unchecked
decisions. No.
authority. Everything's being checked and
Well, I mean,
double-checked.
it's 3 times, for instance, as great as our city administrator has on her authority to purchase. So, I mean, it's somewhat unchecked. I mean, you're not, I mean, your board is not even looking at the expenses. I mean,
Yes, they do.
until I brought it up
Every
2
month.
weeks ago, we've never had these before.
No, you guys have. Our board looks at them
Is that
every
true?
month.
You've been to,
David, I've been to enough meetings that I haven't seen any expenditures checked. There is a budget review every
Budgetary,
month.
they go through every month.
That's not, there is not
Expenditures.
expenditures being approved.
I stand corrected.
and you understand why we do that. I mean, we look at these, scrutinize
Oh,
these.
I do too. I mean, I know
But-
why
but
you
you-
do it. I've been here for 37 years. I know why the council does it. But, as I said, there needs to be some changes. But
I can
scrapping
see how
it,
you would-
taking it advisory, no. We need to keep on going because the change is coming down the pike. And it's coming down for the water too. Restrictions on water sources, what you're doing, chemicals, EPA, it's coming down monthly. And the council does not have time to sit here and say, oh God, it's going to take a year to train me to do this.
I appreciate you looking out for us, but really that, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's why we're here.
I understand that, but let's say in 2 years, it takes us 3 years to train a board member. In 2 years, you could be gone.
I thought the board member was I thought they were the governing authority above you. You have to train them? I mean.
You know everything about the contracts and electricity and, I mean, you're just having problems just by a small item tonight. And that's a simple one.
Well, then, honestly, first time we went through budget back in 2011, Christie in 2010, I'm sure it was an educational experience for all of us. David, thanks. And again, I was hoping that we were going to be able to go kind of step by step through things. The conversation has led us elsewhere. And I'm sorry about that, everyone.
That's all right. I'm still in favor of chartering out, at least from the provisions that we know we have conflict, and then moving forward with, and you know, with a solid plan, subject to a working group, to actually get the pieces in place for a BPU. But that's just my own personal opinion. I think that would be, we've got a, I don't think an advisory board is an option. It's not an option. We've already gone through that road twice now. I think we need to look at the other options.
So I just want to know if the EUB is willing to give up their authority to a BPU. Do you guys like that idea?
I don't understand how we'd be giving up anything.
Well, I mean, you're assuming that you're going to be the ones chosen to serve on those, in that capacity. I mean, you might.
Someone will be. It could be us, it could be somebody else, but it would at least be somebody who is dedicating specific time for those specific matters.
Narrow focus, which is what I think the utilities require.
Yep.
And they would be narrow focus, whether it is independent or advisory, but that's always been my opinion. Steve's suggesting something where we would charter out of all the ordinances all the statutes that we can, and then establishing first an electric ordinance and then doing water and wastewater later. I'm not, you know, the utility bill is made out of all three components. I'm not in favor of favoring one utility over the others, and honestly, at this point, the Gardner Energy people have had an advantage over water and wastewater for 5 years.
And I'm not saying we don't address water and wastewater. I'm saying that what we do is we do it in a methodical way. When I develop computer systems, I'm in IT, and when I develop computer systems, I don't try to put all of our phases in one big basket and do a big bang. Some might argue that governments tend to want to do that with their computer systems, and we have seen the results in the news. What we typically do is we build a framework. That framework then is used to plug in modules. Those modules are put in incrementally, tested, and released to the public. I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that with the formulation of the electric utility, of a board of public utilities. Starting with electric, which we know needs to be modified, needs to be put into a new framework, and then adding water and wastewater very shortly thereafter, once we've done the appropriate measures and put the appropriate measures in place to ease that transition. Doing a big bang approach to anything is not necessarily a good idea. And also, it also addresses the issue you had that you expressed to me a couple of weeks ago, Chris, which is that we don't want to rush into things. We want to do this in a methodical way, in a way that we can control. And I think that that would be a way to do that, and still address the concerns that we have, the immediacy concerns of the legal issues surrounding our current electric utility board.
I think the electric utility board, that if they would pay attention to the state statute as spelled out by the memo from our city attorney, would be able to keep themselves from conducting any illegal business if they were just to follow the city attorney's advice.
What's your idea of a timetable for a BPU and getting it implemented? That's,
Well, I honestly, after a meeting like this one,
I mean,
I couldn't tell you anymore. You know, honestly, I feel like if we can't start working methodically through it without getting hung up, going back to something else that's already been voted down, throwing out different options that don't include working towards a BPU, which was, after the last meeting, the only thing that had enough consensus to get us to charter ordinance status. You know, I mean, if we can't work our way through this, then I don't know how long it's going to take. To me, it doesn't seem like it should take that long, but we can't seem to function in a way that can get us through a single meeting where we're getting past a certain point, 1 or 2 points in. And it's got to be as wildly frustrating for most of you as it is for me. But you know, if I was working with a smaller group of like-minded people, shoot, we would have had the thing rewritten months ago.
well, let me come back to a proposal that I made about a month and a half ago then. And talking about a smaller group, a more focused group, why don't we take a couple of members of the council, yourself, a couple of members of the EUB, the electric director, the director of public works, the city administrator, get us together as a working group so we can all work together, come up with, and have maybe the individuals from McPherson and other, and KMEA, and have them come in here, do presentations, and put together recommendations that we can then give, and working together, and get that together and pull it together for a council action forum, potentially for a charter ordinance.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that. We've
You're
done
talking
that
about
in the past.
you're talking about a bigger group than
A working group.
than the people that we have sitting up here.
Yes.
And honestly, there is more than a little discord between Gardner Energy staff and city staff at this point. To the point where it would be a hindrance.
You know, the problem,
But why is that? Because of communication.
the thing you're forgetting is that.
Hey, I've been in, you know what, I've been in meetings with city staff and Gardner Energy staff, and there's been plenty of opportunity for communication, but what we've had is discord and apparently hard feelings.
You know why that is? Because they're the odd man out. I mean, everybody else is working in concert with all the other departments.
I agree.
And they have a director who then reports to a city administrator, who then
But doesn't
creates
report to a
policy,
city-
recommendation, and then we read about them, and we ask questions, and then we make decisions. That's what's missing here, and that's why that's why there's never any traction to these meetings, is because this has always been a solution in search of a problem. I mean, this has been something that